Hello. Do you have a letter of marque to enter my residence?
Yeah. Hey, Rand. It's your neighbor. Just noticed that you've been digging a large ditch between our property lines, and I don't think that's covered by any easements with the city. Wondering what's going on, buddy?
A ditch is only a moat when it's not fully grown. Now, I'm building a moat because in the Articles of Confederation, they enumerated our right to put sea monsters that demarcated our property between us and hip-hop gangs, jackbooted thugs, and Planned Parenthood.
Oh, well, I mean, I understand that totally, Rand, but, you know, my grandkids are come over here sometimes. I don't want them falling into a moat, especially if there's going to be sea monsters, and I really need to know more about that if I'm going to sign off on any of this.
Well, according to maps of the Orient, they have a new type of alligator over there, the likes of which those of us in the West have not seen. But your grandkids, they don't have a right not to be eaten. I have a right to have a moat. You don't have a right to not enjoy my moat.
Yeah, I'm not going to enjoy your moat, Rand. I'm going to need you to fill in these holes before someone gets hurt, please.
The only thing that's getting hurt is the Fourth Amendment. You've illegally entered my property and tried to enforce your personal preferences on my right to have river dragons, tributary creatures, and all variety of slimy crustacean types that will prevent outsiders from entering my domicile and harming me.
This is it. This is your last chance, Rand. I've been a good guy about this. I've sent you a bunch of letters. You've got to fill this fucking hole.
I consider myself a gentleman, but you've left me with no choice. I challenge you to a debate.
Okay. How about your ass debates my fucking foot? How about that?
Well, since neither of those can emit words, I fail to see how that is going to happen. I can see why your objection to the moat is so great, because you can only understand force. Argument ad absurdum. Oh, of course, ad hominem. Oh, God, Jesus. Oh, no. You hear a permaband from my residence.
Goddamn.
Fighting Rand Paul.
Rand Paul's
the
fucking
fighting the senator.
badass.
Now,
Pain don't hurt. It's not in the Constitution.
Mind over matter. If it's not in the Constitution, it doesn't matter.
You're telling me I know Kung Fu. No, Rand. You just get your ass kicked all the time.
I like when you do it, it's just like, if you had allowed me to dress like the Matrix twins, then this maybe the fight would have turned differently.
They have dreadlocks, but they're not only white gentlemen, but albino, one could say. It makes you think. It makes you scared. It makes you excited.
So, out of every U.S. senator to get just laid out
Rinsed.
in a fight and just get demolished in a fight, Rand is definitely the funniest.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I was thinking about this, like, Ted Cruz would be the most psychically satisfying for just have that awful nose just pushed into his head.
Tom Cotton's giraffe neck flying as he gets fucking socked.
Like, there are people that probably deserve it more than him, but Rand is easily the funniest.
Oh, yeah, just squawking about the NAP while they're stomping on his head.
Oh, yeah, he's like, it's all things go back to Eminem. This is the scene in 8 Mile where he gets jumped by the free world. And later he's on stage at a debate. He's like, I did get jumped by all six of you argument ad absurdums.
I saw
You went to
Rand's-
Cranbrook. That's a public school. Public schools are not as good as private schools.
I saw Rand Paul speak at the Kentucky annual Gun Day. However, because it is Kentucky, it is actually biannual and it is a 3-day weekend. I'm not joking, but they still call it Kentucky Annual Gun Day. It was just extremely popular. But he was like the keynote speaker, I guess. and he got on stage and literally no one gave a shit at all, because these are like Kentucky gun people that just want to look at like a a Civil War fucking musket or some shit.
Yeah.
Like that, they're nerds.
Yeah.
They're nerds and not the correct type of nerd.
Mm-hmm.
It
Not
was
Constitution.
Yeah, they're
No,
not
yeah.
Constitution nerds.
Yeah.
They're
just the Second Amendment tattooed on their back.
Yeah, guns for the same reason, like the good reason, like guns. They look cool, and you're cool when you hold one, and no one can ever tell you what to do ever again.
I don't know.
The boring reason.
I don't know how you come back from getting nearly killed. People need to remember this. He got 5 ribs broken,
Yeah.
including punctures that could have killed him by a fucking retired. What kind of doctor was he? He invented some sort
he
of
was an anesthesiologist.
An anesthesiologist.
The
I thought he
hardest
was a
type.
rival ophthalmologist.
I've got a
Yo.
real fucking degree, by the way, motherfucker.
That community is incredibly violent.
He's like,
People
he's
don't
like
talk.
hold on, can you read this sign? He puts it up, and then it's just a fist going through.
Yeah, but the guy, a retired anesthesiologist who invented some sort of like back pain vest that like helps you with lumbar support, and he just nearly murders you in your own home.
Well, he has an amazing lumbar core area. So this is a good
He
fighter.
speared him like Goldberg,
The
probably.
part is like if his neighbor was Brian Dawkins and you give him a 20-yard running start, like how many more ribs would he break? Like it's just like unreal that this could be done from a standing start. I mean, who's exactly as tall as him? It's like 2 5'8" guys just squaring off.
See, it's confusing because I would have thought that the unpasteurized milk he drinks would have more calcium, but apparently less.
Well, no, I mean, he needs. I mean, he's not the libertarian his dad is. His dad is drinking colloidal silver. He probably has metallic ribs. You could never do that.
He's like
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I really think it confirms everything I've ever felt about Rand Paul, is that he's just never had respect from anyone ever in any situation.
No, yeah, that's true.
He literally he said something like criticizing Trump at the debate, and Trump was like, "Why are you even here?" And it like ended his campaign. It
Yeah.
literally ended it.
He is the Jeb Bush of libertarianism.
Yeah.
Like he is the failed son who's just going to let the family heritage go to ruin by being just pathetic and charismaless.
Oh, hello, listeners. You've just been joining us.
Sorry, we didn't see you there.
You've been joining us, just listening in on this conversation we've been having.
We always hold XLR mics when we have our normal conversation as friends.
Well, we don't want to let any gold go to waste. But before this conversation gets on too far, let's start the show. You know us, but sitting in for us this week, we've got David Roth.
Hi.
David, hello. You probably know David best as David from Piscataway. He's a regular call-in to the Mike Francesa show. Started out as a regular call-in to Mike and the Mad Dog, but you stuck with it after Chris Russo left.
I made a choice, and I've had no choice but to live with it ever since.
Yeah. So yeah, you're an angry guy that calls in sports talk radio, and you tweet on the side.
I do. I mean, I get a lot of the Islander stuff out of my system on the radio, so most of the stuff on Twitter has nothing to do with hockey at all, which is to the benefit of all my followers.
How much of a bummer is it that Christie is not going to get a radio show like they were talking about?
I think he's in for a life that's actually worse than that of a sports talk radio host, which is just like going out for a breakfast sandwich and getting fucking roasted every day by a different person. And then he's going to like call them a big shot and get back in his car. And then it'll happen again 3 hours later.
I love that every time someone comes up to him and they're like, "You're a fucking piece of shit. You suck. No one respects you. You fucked up the state." He's like, "Oh yeah, well look at you, Mr. Important."
Yeah, which is amazing too. They're like, "Hey, we see one governor in this conversation," but he's like, buddy, like,
yeah, but that's going to be because it's, there's 0 governors in this conversation now. You're out of office.
yeah, I had to listen to his radio show when I was for a piece, like when he did 2 days of like basically auditioning to get Mike Francesa's spot when Francesa retires, and he's like, a polished enough talker and like authentically enough of an asshole that it wasn't really difficult for him. Like he did fairly well. But it had this like purgatorial vibe because you're just waiting for someone to call in like saying they have a question about Aaron Judge, and then as soon as they get on with him, they're like, I hope that you sincerely choke to death on like some sort of cured meat. And he's like, oh, that's not a vest. Real nice. Like, he had nothing. He would just like escalate the shouting, which is a good sports radio move.
He had all the Trump betraying him took all the fight out of him, because like, do you remember during the primary when Rand was like, what about that hug you gave Obama? And like Christie, if Trump like fired the shot into Rand's gut, Christie delivered the coup de grace, because he was like, I won't remember the hugs I gave on 9/11. and I guess there were enough primary voters that were like, yeah, that's right, Rand. He was in 9/11, and it killed his campaign.
Just as related to Christie, I would like to admit there was an elections yesterday. Rest assured, we will have
Full election coverage this
saturation
weekend.
of Tuesday's election results with our voting wonk, Virgil, Texas. We're giving full back-to-back coverage. However, I do got to say, I endorsed him on the show. Bo Dietl did not win
God damn
the
it.
New York City mayor's race.
There are no heroes left in this world.
But I do want to say, sort of similar to Christie, Bo tweeted this morning, this is so fucking good. He tweeted, good morning at Frank Morano. I lost last night, lost capitalized like the TV show. He goes, good morning, Frank Morano. I lost last night, but I'm still a multimillionaire, and you're, Y-O-U-R, still a fat loser in the looser reform party. You spelled loser twice.
And also,
One of them is
that's a
capitalized and one of them is
that's a classic cop insult. He's saying he has a loose pussy.
and also, what the frick happened to Walt? He was on the boat and then he was gone.
There were no highlights to the Bo Dietl mayoral campaign until that, but there's one tweet of him eating a sausage and pepper sandwich in Midtown to like enrage the libs, which he's like, it was like directed. He added de Blasio and was like, I bet you like this. You probably don't like that I'm eating the sandwich. It was
Eggs and peppers. Nothing better. He was like, you probably eat this with a fork, big bird.
literally said that.
Yeah. Oh, Bo.
I remember him from when I was a kid, and my dad would drive me to school listening to Imus, and Bo Dietl was their racism correspondent. Back then, he was recently off the force. His book One Tough Cop had not yet become a movie, which it really did. That's
Starring
real.
Stephen Baldwin.
Stephen Baldwin and Tony LaPaglia, classic. That was what started their career as an action duo. But he would just call in every now and then and like talk about the things that black guys would do.
Yeah.
It was like unreal.
So he invented the Breitbart black crime vertical before its time.
Yeah,
That's why he's a multimillionaire. He copyrighted
I
that.
think he's just a failed Def Jam comic. He was trying out his material and it didn't land.
Yeah. It had the feeling of like every time you see those, like every year, some like just like rancid cop forum gets like screen grabbed and gets passed around online. Like just the shit that they talk about in like Facebook groups. And it was basically that. Like it was being like, I'm not getting out of my car. That's a Puerto Rican guy. And like that's the joke. You know, like it's the whole thing.
Sorry, he just has one, his sort of concession tweet says, I love this city, all caps. NYC is my home, and I've put my life on the line as a detective. I've created thousands of jobs and will always be a true New Yorker.
Wait, what?
Whoa. How did he create thousands of jobs?
Like they have to hire more people for internal affairs investigations?
Well, like fucking
I said
Coroners.
coroners and funeral home attendees.
He runs a private detective agency, which is apparently the largest private detective agency on the Eastern Seaboard, if that's anything like the number of employees that he's ever had. I think it's just him.
Private detectives have gone downhill because everyone's poly now, and you don't need to investigate to see if your wife is cheating on you, which is the only thing that private detectives do.
I'm just glad that he can go back to his first love, which is inspecting the Arby's meat and making sure that it's all up to snuff at every store in the country.
That would be, yeah, he like goes into Arby's, but he has a flashback to like 1978, and he just beats the manager with a phone book. Is this genuine filet?
That was what radicalized him, was he lost his job to Ving Rhames. He realized the world was changing.
Listen up, Mr. Pulp Fiction. You will not replace me, okay?
Yeah, Jews will not replace us, okay? He was marching in Charlottesville.
Oh, Jules will not replace us.
Imagine him marching in Charlottesville with like a Under Armour polo on, but somehow it has like a really ludicrous pocket handkerchief like protruding from it.
He has a pocket handkerchief just in his chest, probably.
I saw him during the campaign. I was on Eastern Parkway at the West Indian Day Parade, and he was there right in front of me, just happenstance. And he was wearing like a salmon sports coat. It was a really fashion-forward look for him, and I actually kind of respected him. That's why I voted for him.
I respect him for all the stuff he did, but
Yeah.
also,
So that's the NYC mayor's race in a nutshell. Bo Dietl won't be our next
De
mayor,
Blasio
unfortunately.
continues to employ horrible people in his parks department.
It's just one big, just like patronage graft
just
warehouse.
because someone has
Yeah.
a podcast, you employ their brother. That's not right.
Bo Dietl will not be mayor of New York. He will be our next president.
Oh yeah.
This is the loss like Nixon had to lose once. to
Exactly.
propel him and have this sort of chip on his shoulder
20
to run for president against Hillary Clinton in 2020 and then beat her.
2020, it's going to be Bo Dietl and like Spyro the Dragon. He's like racist now.
No, but Bo's going to run on the Democratic ticket.
Oh, yeah,
and he's
yeah.
going to get the Democratic nomination. You'd be like, yeah, I vote for Trump. Bada bing, bada do. Show. What do you want from me? Actually, this is a segue into our topic for this week. We're going to talk about a book. We're talking about a book.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. You may roll your eyes. This is a book that is...
It's the greatest book ever written.
It's roiling the Democratic commentariat with its startling revelations. Of course, I'm talking about Hacks by Donna Brazile, the inside story of the break-ins and breakdowns that put
From
Donald
Hatchet
Trump
Wounds books.
that put Donald Trump in the White House. Now, this is like the big, I guess the headline out of this is that Donna Brazile, longtime Democratic Party insider, who was brought on to head up the DNC following Debbie Washing Machine Schultz's stepping down in August
That's always fun
of
to me.
last year. Now, it just says in this book and in a Politico article that the DNC did indeed rig the primary for Hillary Clinton, that their thumb was firmly on the scale for her and the process was not fair to Bernie Sanders. And this has caused quite a bit of controversy. Now, this book is a cynical attempt to both cash in and absolve herself of any blame for
Absolutely.
the loss of the of this election.
However, this hoe is crazy. She was always a little bit insane. And I feel like we should have picked up on it when she did the dance. And you should definitely
the dance at the DNC this summer.
This was when everything was good. This is when she was in a good place. And I think we're gonna watch that so we can see Matt's reaction.
Yeah, I've heard of this, but I haven't seen it before, so I'm clicking right now on it.
Granted, this is when things were going well for her.
What the fuck?
It's the man from Another Place dance from Twin Peaks,
What?
basically.
What? Is this Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
She
Just stop by to
finished her speech, by the way.
just stop
And then
by.
that's how she left.
That was sort of like a robot doing the nay-nay while melting down after being served with a logical contradiction.
I know why you nay, but I can't do it myself.
Wow.
This was her saying. So she was already kind of, she's an eccentric person.
Yeah.
But she's fucking lost it, and it's
She rules.
fabulous.
She's fucking
I
cool.
like her.
Well,
now.
yeah, but I mean, who didn't go crazy after Trump won?
Well, but here's the
Basically
thing.
everybody.
Like
Yeah,
I said,
she is out to lunch. It's great.
she is out to lunch, and the book is a cynical attempt to cash in and absolve herself of any blame. However, her portrait of the DNC and the Democratic Party in this book is pretty incredible. And I have to say, it does actually absolve her of some of the blame. And most of it lands squarely with the Clinton campaign and Debbie Washing Machine Schultz.
Okay, we have to start out just with the dedication.
Yeah. The book starts out, it's dedicated, it says, in loving memory of my father, Lionel Brazile, Sr., my beloved sister, Sheila Brazile, my fearless uncles, Nat, Floyd, and Douglas, Harlem's finest, my Aunt Lucille, my friend and mentor, David Kaufman, my DNC colleague and patriot, Seth Rich, and my beloved Pomeranian.
Morning until I join you.
And my beloved Pomeranian, Chip Joshua Marvin Brazile, in parentheses, booty wipes. I miss y'all.
How many names does that dog have?
Chip,
Four
lives and it's dead, and she dedicated the book to it.
Chip Joshua Marvin Brazile is nicknamed Booty Wipes.
Yeah.
Wait, was the dog and Seth Rich killed by the same time?
Okay, now you'll notice that she dedicates the book to Seth Rich as well. This book, in addition to having some hilarious behind-the-scenes stories, is also funniest if you read it like her coded confession for having him killed.
Yeah, I mean, I've alluded to it earlier. Like, a lot of crazy shit this year, huh? What if they really did fucking murk Seth Rich and it was the only thing the campaign didn't fuck up?
I just can't conceive of that. I could imagine. I'm imagining it, and it's like Robbie Mook with a blunderbuss that he like fails to load correctly, and he just gets a bunch of soot in his face.
That's always been the funniest thing about any of the like the Clinton murder list thing is that these are guys like they get elected as Democrats and somehow wind up getting rid of welfare. Like this is like every blooper, every 45 minutes, someone is like falling down a long flight of stairs. But somehow they also have like dozens of bodies on them and have never been held to account for it. Like it just does not. I don't know, like any of it.
They would kill like Robbie Williams by accident. They would hire like whatever real world equivalent of the Three Stooges to like drop a safe on a guy's head. They wouldn't do it right. They would contract it out.
Well, she mentions multiple times that when she started to learn what hacking was, which, by the way, apparently the people, like the consultants and stuff she immediately hired to brief her on this were just those companies that, like, scare the shit out of old people during daytime TV and, like, be like, we can protect your identity for $20. Yeah. Like, those people, because she narrates the whole thing like a John le Carre novel, and she thinks... She's not willing to say it, but she said, I wondered if the Russians had anything to do with his death. I'm not even kidding. That's where she's at right now.
But if they told her they hacked it, why would they just kill some guy who worked at the DNC?
You know, you are trying to throw together a consistent narrative with a woman whose idea of reality is a moving target.
Okay, so the book opens with an introduction called The Phone Call, which is all about how Hillary Clinton waited until February of 2017 to give her a personal phone call after the election.
Which she is not mad about at all.
She's not mad at all. She says here, after that disastrous election day, I didn't want to think about politics or talk about it. And I guess that Hillary was feeling worse. You know, she had blown this chance and had let her sisters down. My heart went out to her. And then he goes in italics, I wanted to say, I have nothing but respect for you for being so brave and classy considering everything that went on. Then she goes on for the next couple pages to talk about how everyone else called her, including Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Both pick up the phone. Hillary did not.
I'm glad your dog is dead.
Marvin's a terrible name for any animal.
I don't care about your uncles.
And then when Hillary finally does call her, she says, this was chit-chat, like I was talking to someone I didn't know. This is not, I can't wait to see you. Let's get together. You stepped up, and I really want to thank you for doing it. So the phone call didn't go as much as she planned, but she did say, she said she wanted to tell Hillary all these things, like, could she not forget the murder of Seth Rich? She actually said that on the phone call. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And she asked her for money, right?
Yeah.
She said, are you donating to...
Well, to be fair, that's what I say to everyone on the show when you guys call me. I'm like, don't forget Seth Rich, and can I have some money, please?
So she goes, as the call wrapped up, Hillary said she hoped I would be okay. That's when I almost lost it. Even if the party was starting to regain its footing, I was not okay. I had nothing left to return to. This campaign had tarnished my reputation, forced me to step down from CNN, and strained my relationships with colleagues and friends. The hacking of the DNC by the Russians shook my world, depleted my energy, creating in me a fear so deep that now I had surveillance cameras on every door and window at my house.
You guys, Donna is not okay.
I love the idea that the Russians were like, Donna Brazile is too competent. She's going to find out. We have to kill Donna Brazile.
We have to kill Booty Wipes.
Booty Wipes possess compromat. We must neutralize.
Pomeranian is famously intelligent dog.
So the book starts around like summer 2016, right? Like right before like WikiLeaks releases all of the DNC emails. And Donna Brazile is a longtime Democratic Party operative. She's a CNN contributor. You know, things are going good for her. Then this hack, the WikiLeaks thing happens, and Debbie Washing Machine Schultz basically is like, I need to step aside. This is causing too many problems.
Well, it's not like she completely made that decision on her own.
No, obviously not.
It's not like she's like, you know what? I've really defamed the campaign here. I'm very ashamed. Like, she was clearly pushed out.
Well, Donna begins by saying, I had known Debbie for many years, and it pained me to hear critics talk about her behind her back. I was even more pained when I joined in that chorus.
It was she's so bitchy sometimes. It's amazing. Like, it was really hard for me to point out how much you sucked.
Why would you put me through that?
She goes on for the rest of the book to describe her Debbie Washing Machine's many, many failures. So she is joining the chorus. So she writes here, the notion of being the party chair, even for a little while, did not appeal to me at all. Maybe it was just the mellowing that comes with age. I had a strong suspicion that my resistance to taking on this job was because of Kai, a little boy who had stolen my heart.
I'm sorry, what?
This is such a weird B plot. It's such a throwaway plot.
Is that another name for her dog? Is that like
No. Kai is an actual boy. She continues. Kai was born strong.
I met him in the basement of Comet Ping Pong.
By the way, when I first got this book, I got the Kindle version, and I did like the search feature and for pizza and gate and Pizzagate and Comet. She does not mention any of it in this book, unfortunately.
That's why you
It's
need
suspicious,
Yeah,
really.
that's why you need a Straussian reading. You got to get
Yes.
between the lines, and you will find out that it's all a confession about Pizzagate.
Well, let's talk about Kai then.
Yes.
Kai was born strong and healthy late in May 2016. But
the
but check this
Gemini,
out.
like me.
It says was born strong and healthy in May 2016. But the birth really tore up his birth mom, Mia.
Okay,
She had to stay in the hospital for 6 weeks with a horrible infection that threatened her life. During that time, she and her wife, my best friend Betsy, asked me to care for the child. Now, here I was thinking, here's this girl who spends all of her life guarded. Don't want no more love. Don't want no more attachments.
Don't want no
I'm
scrubs.
Done, I'm done with that.
I won't get no love
Is
with
this
me.
what she told Hillary the moment that Hillary picked up?
So,
These lesbians gave me their baby, and I'm just like,
That's great, Donna. You're great because you're good. Give Kyle my best.
so
this is never explained, by the way.
spent,
at all.
no, she just says she spent 7 weeks caring for Kai, and that they bonded, and that she really
And we
just
don't
wanted-
understand why. Apparently, the birth mother was sick, but the child has another mom,
yeah.
who's just her best
Well, she-
friend.
Yeah, but apparently, I don't know. Maybe she was
I
working
want
too
you
hard
to.
at her
I
job.
want you to do to my baby what you did to the DNC.
I don't even understand it's a very confusing kind of power lesbian, Hillary kind of understanding of family.
Donna
I became very attached to the baby.
Yeah, Donna Brazile is like if you grew up like me or Will, she's your mom's friend who just makes you very uncomfortable for a reason you can't describe. She's very nice to you, but you have a very weird feeling.
How are your
around-
grades?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do better than that. And you're like, I've met you twice. We have like beads that smell like the garden on you. What the fuck? That's Donna Brazile.
She talks about going into the hotel suite to sort of take the baton from Debbie, and writes, she was not in tears, but it looked like she just stopped crying.
Dude.
Let me get the...
I think that's just Debbie's bloodshot eyes.
Yeah, no, she always looked like she just got out of a car washing machine.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, like, very toasted person.
Crispy.
She's like golden brown.
Yeah, she like slept in a hot box setup.
Extra crispy DNC chair.
Yeah. What's that Florida look?
By the way, while Will is doing his search, when people in the DNC announce that they're pregnant, their friends say, "Oh, that's great. Is it going to be pepperoni or mushroom?"
Okay. Shit. Speaking of food stuffs, one of the first things listen, some of the names in this book are hilarious. So she goes, the problem I faced first was who was going to gavel in the convention. It was traditionally the role of the party chair to do so, but I didn't want to do that to Debbie. It would seem as though I was gloating in my new role, and that was so far from the truth.
It would be so cruel to Debbie if I pointed out how she's gone and I have her job now. And I don't want to be mean like that.
So she goes, no matter what she did or didn't do as chair, Debbie deserved a respectful exit.
It would be cruel for me to get on stage and on national television just do the frug.
Donna Brazile is that bitch who's like, oh my God, you look so good in mascara. I can't even wear it because my eyelashes are too naturally thick and long.
Listen to this. At 4 p.m. Oh, no, it says, I decided Stephanie Rawlings Blake, mayor of Baltimore and party secretary, who had been intimately involved in planning...
you have too many names.
All of these people have too many names.
Stephanie Rawlings Blake had been intimately involved in planning the convention, would call it to order that afternoon. At 4 p.m., she did so, bringing the National Democratic Convention to order. She then turned the gavel over to Representative Marcia Fudge. That's a real name. I'm not making this up.
Presenting the DNC by Richard Scarry.
She handed the gavel over to Representative Marcia Fudge.
Like a fucking Key and Peele sketch.
What the fuck is going on with Democrat names? Is it like, did Donna Brazile name them? Was that part of the DNC chair's responsibility?
Marcia Booty Wipes Fudge.
Your name is fucking Felicia Gargoyle Platts.
In the next...
Thank you, Donna.
In literally the next chapter, Donna talks about one of her longtime closest personal friends, a person named Minion Moore.
What?
I'm not kidding.
What? What?
It's the dang Minion. You don't even want to Google these things because you want to believe that they're just creations of Donna's mind palace.
She just literally thinks like a minion worked at the DNC.
He was a real go-getter in his overalls and yellow
Those little
turtleneck.
goggles.
Sometimes he would show up on Facebook and he'd look disappointed with a caption like, when it's Wednesday, it's not Friday. I want wine. Is it spelled like minion? Like
No, minion is spelled Minyon.
Oh, that's how they would spell it in Game of Thrones.
Mignon.
Yeah.
So this is in a chapter called "The Russians, the Russians, the Russians," and I just highlighted this section here of Donna talking about the hackers, and like I said, probably told by some like DNC like LifeLock IT person. She writes here: the hackers were not two 400-pound guys sitting alone in their bedrooms. They were sophisticated teams, codenamed Fancy Bear and Cozy Bear by CrowdStrike.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Bear.
Oh my!
The Intel says that there's a fancy bear on my trail.
This is like the DNC.
So good.
It was Abe Simpson, her
her assembling these facts, like they only kind of half make sense, and you don't understand why the baby's there at all.
So
what was the conclusion of the baby plot that she'd like?
There's no. It's just a loose end.
she's like, I was sorry to be leaving that baby that I had bonded with over the last few weeks, but it wasn't mine, and I had a job to do.
Tossed it over my shoulder, and my friend Cornelius Vandercum caught it. That's not his name. I don't know. He's a new name that I like better.
In the
my friend How to Train a Dragon.
In the next chapter, she sort of finally takes the reins of the DNC and finds out that they're completely fucked, which is pretty funny. She finds out that they're $2 million in debt, and that this is actually pretty amazing.
We spent $7 million on names.
And they were funneling money into the party from the campaign.
From the state
It's very
races.
very scummy. Yeah.
It's super scummy, and this is actually pretty amazing. She had worked at the DNC like just 5 or 6 years earlier, so she was familiar with what their like operating budget would be. She comes in now and finds out that since she's left, their monthly operating rate had increased by about $2 million. And this was almost entirely, this is like the actual part of like interesting news in this book, is that Debbie had basically just brought in this enormous crop of consultants to work for them that were just all graft almost entirely. And actually,
excuse me, graft? Those PowerPoint presentations showing about how lacrosse grandmothers in Loudoun County, Virginia, were going to be the difference in the election, were crucial to them getting their asses
I
beat.
have
were
to say,
the
though,
difference in the-
she does talk about micro-targeting and disparagingly. And it's like weird because you're like, at some point this woman was like competent, maybe not totally sane, but like she knows what's going on. Like she's not completely like flying by the seat of her pants, and she knows that shit is bullshit.
Yeah, but then one day you're relatively normal. You might be a little dramatic. You might,
a little eccentric.
Yeah, you might wine o'clock might come earlier and earlier in the day for
there's
you.
a lot of wine.
there's a lot of wine o'clock in this
Also,
book.
Johnny Walker Black.
But
That's a drink.
then Friendly Bear hacks all your Grubhub orders, and you just lose reality. You're just no longer able to trust anything. You're Gene Hackman at the end of the conversation, taking the walls apart and playing saxophone.
I want to be like, before we get back into the book, because there's a lot of funny stuff to come. I do want to just make clear what is actually being what was going on with the DNC. I think Ryan Cooper did a very good, clear summary of exactly what. How this is kind of corruption work. And basically, I'm reading from him here. He says, she used state parties to essentially launder campaign contributions and gain decisive influence over data, technology, analytics, research, and communications operations. With the Hillary Victory Fund, big donors could write a $353,400 check, theoretically split between 32 state parties, each receiving $10,000, and the DNC, which would supposedly only get $33,400. In reality, though, almost all the money would be quickly transferred to the DNC, where Clinton would have at least a large say in how it was used, certainly at least to hire her own batch of consultants.
Right. So, meaning like everything that she had like everything that she considered the Bernie people paranoid for, she actually kind of is honest about. And she's like, the Bernie people were saying that the Hillary campaign was basically running the party even during the primaries. And she's like, and then they were. Like, she comes pretty clean about it.
So she goes, I got into the office before noon on Sunday, carrying a box of items I brought from home to make my office more personal. I had so much on my mind, I barely remember the drive there. When I turned onto South Capitol Street, I started to cry, but not about the situation the party was in. This would be the first time I entered the building since Seth Rich was murdered on the streets of D.C. on July 10th, and seeing the building brought back grief about his death. Then she goes on and says, I had just left Kai for the first time in 6 weeks to fly to the West Coast when I got the call that Seth had been gunned down. I started to cry when I heard the news, and I had a hard time holding the tears in for 2 days. I called his parents right away to express my grief. On that Sunday after the convention, when I drove into the parking lot at the DNC, I felt that loss again. This was another thing I wanted to do while I was chair. Pressure the mayor's office to find out who killed Seth Rich. This is what she was going to do as head of the DNC.
Yeah.
Was pressure the DC mayor's office to find out who murdered Seth Rich.
So like the DC, like the Capitol Police were like, we don't want to find out. See, and she was like, she calls them up and she's like, listen, I found a baby or some shit, and the building made me sad. Could you like solve this murder? I know you guys don't like to solve murders.
And the renegade cop comes into the captain's office and he goes, you got to find that rich kid's murder. I got this Donna Brazile broad in my ear all the time.
She won't
now."
shut up about the baby.
Also, when she took over Debbie's office, she like called someone to ask what she should do with the office, and the guy was like, paint it blue. Because apparently, Floridian that she was, Debbie Wasserman Schultz painted the entire office pink.
The guy who said paint it blue is actually Terry McAuliffe, former head of the DNC, Virginia governor, and Wasserman Schultz had also painted it pink for breast cancer surviving.
Right.
Because she likes another organization that grips everybody, Susan G. Komen.
Yeah. Well, no, but it wasn't it wasn't said that it was for breast cancer. That's very possibly true. It's also entirely possible that like this is a weird inference that Donna Brazile just made. She's like, oh, it's because she had tit cancer, and it's like maybe she's just like a tacky fucking Miami asshole who paints things pink.
This is like a dream sequence written by David Chase. Like there's so much going on. Like the room is like a deep metaphor, but true. David Chase is such a genius because in his narratives he leaves loose ends untied up like they do in life, but in a like kind of satisfying way. And that's what this book is. This is what David Chase stopped The Sopranos to do, to write Hacks by Donna Brazile.
So this is Donna moving into Debbie's office. So she goes, moving into the new office. She goes, I found an empty office near Debbie's that had a window that looked right over the train tracks. I grew up next to the tracks, and the sound of a train passing is always a comfort to me. Choo, choo.
Nothing wrong with
She's
it.
one of ours. She's one of ours. I'm telling you.
No, she is.
I brought in my box from home and took out a few pictures of Kai, a few pictures of her friend's kid to put on her desk. One of my dog, Chip.
Again, never
R.I.P.
explained why the other non-birth mother isn't taking care of this baby.
Photo of my dog, Chip, and a sage
R.I.P.
smudge stick. I sprinkled a little holy water on the chairs and the desk and said a prayer for healing and strength. The last thing I took out of my box was my bottle of Johnny Walker Black.
Hell yeah.
Political veterans always remember a campaign by the vice they had adopted before Election Day. Decades ago in one campaign, my vice was Johnny Walker. Before I left home that morning, when I was looking around for things that would comfort me in this troubling assignment, I saw that bottle in my liquor cabinet. Seeing it felt like finding an old friend in a strange town. I took one of the glasses from Debbie's bar to my new office by the railroad tracks, but I decided it was not yet time for me and Johnny to get reacquainted.
It's the same. It's the same bottle. It's like a 25-year-old Scotch, 25-year-old blended Scotch in her office.
There are two trajectories for women. You can either become a wine mom or a whiskey crone.
I think she's more of like an ether rag mom.
I think by the end she's going to be a Jenkum mom.
I feel like she's just going up to an old AC unit and inhaling Freon.
Well, like a lot of the book is like her dealing with like office bullshit and being like, I can't believe this job. Oh my God, another disaster. And then like being on a porch and like the next paragraph, she'll be like, I was on a porch in my house in Martha's Vineyard with my old friend, Cressica Smunge, sipping a good, I don't know, some cocktail or Prosecco. She was sipping
She
Prosecco.
loves Prosecco.
And she's always like getting bad news, but she's always like on a porch in Martha's
I
Vineyard.
respect that. I'm a
She's like,
Prosecco
dude,
hoe myself.
She's like fucking Mags Bennett, except totally incompetent and has a grip on nothing.
All right, I want to do two quick anecdotes that underscore Donna's sort of unprofessional office culture.
Oh, she would be terrible to work with. She's just sexually harassing people.
So the first one comes when she talks about the first time she goes to Clinton's campaign office in Brooklyn at 1 Pierre Point Plaza. She talks, security was tight, and she goes, when I was tiptoeing around the muffled Clinton headquarters, I thought of what my friend Tony, I'm going to pronounce this name Kulo. Tony Coolho.
If it's Paolo's brother, it's Coelho.
I'm just calling him Tony Coolho. He goes, used to ask me about my campaigns.
That's my graffiti tag.
Tony Coolho. Yeah. Used to ask me about campaigns. He'd always ask, are the kids fucking? Are they having sex? Are they having fun? If not, let's create something to get that going, or otherwise we're not going to win. I didn't sense much fun or fucking in Brooklyn. Okay, two things here. I like that her old Democratic campaign vet, Tony Coolho, was like, are the kids fucking? No. If not, let's make them.
He's the coolest of hoes.
What I want to know is, how the fuck has there not been an entire InfoWars episode about the fact that this book contains the quote, are the kids fucking?
Oh, wow.
Okay,
are the kids being fucked is the subtext.
The second thing I want to talk about here is that this paragraph here, I think, was the one that inspired that epic tweet thread that we talked about on the last show about all the Hillary people being like, everybody on that said we weren't fucking, we had no fun. Well, check this out. Here's my beautiful, strong office mate grinning over a margarita.
Oh, you don't think
the brunch photos? I saw that. I saw those getting retweeted without context, and I was like, that looks nice. I guess it's a good omelet.
What it looked like was all the stock photos of women eating salad and laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, you say we weren't fucking? talking? Well, excuse me, but we were doing stage readings of Will and Grace scripts.
Yeah,
How does that not lead to fucking?
That's my favorite thing is that it's like it shows that we truly go full circle because the first forum arguments were always about like you're a virgin, no, you're a fucking virgin. Here's a picture of me with a girl, bitch. And now like professional elite Democrats are like, oh, I'm not having sex. I actually fucking got married from the campaign. Here's my wife. I fuck her every night in big bed. I'm cool. I had fun losing. Fuck you.
Okay, this is another office story offered by Donna. So, Amber, do you remember what the setup for this? It's some conference call with the DNC people.
No, but I think that might have more to do with her storytelling abilities than my reading retention.
Okay, so let's just dive in. She says, y'all are thinking I'm going to back down from this fight. No, I am not. We were just trying to preserve the DNC. The DNC is a wreck. We're tired of just plugging up the holes of this leaky party. Tom knows the building, and he goes, blah, blah, blah. Of course, Brandon agreed with the men in the Brooklyn. Oh, this is a conflict between her and the Clinton campaign in Brooklyn. So he goes, he looked
She
at
did
me.
not get along well with them, and she hated all of their people, and it sounds like because they were not receptive to her being a complete asshole to
This
them.
is the one guy. There's one dude that she hated who was like really junior that rolled his eyes. Is that Brandon?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I remember
Yes.
seeing those
Who she,
details.
by the way, speaking of inappropriate, pulled aside. He's a black guy. Pulled aside at one point and says, "We need to have a black on black conversation." Which is, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're a woman and you're sexually inappropriate with another woman, it's just like clearly considered. Like, there's already been like multiple situations recently where like female CEOs have been like, nabbed for like sexual harassment. Like, that that's not appropriate. And this is a person like clearly being
Donna
inappropriate,
should
but
take
she thinks she can do it.
Donna should take over management of the period underwear company.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my, she would be perfect for that. She would be perfect for that.
So-
I'm just glad that someone is in the Democratic community is willing to have the guts to talk about black on black conversations.
Oh, by the way, I remember earlier in the book, her friend Minion Moore tells her. One of the things Minion tells her about the Brooklyn operation is that she said, Donna, you're not going to like them because you can't cuss at these kids. They'll take it too serious. They'll be too.
Donna is
They're millennial
Donna-
snowflakes.
Donna drops a swear,
Yeah.
and then she'll be like, "What the fuck?"
She likes to drop the F-bomb.
She's your mom's saucy friend. And
Yeah.
she, like, the point is, like, Donna May, like, she's been an abusive boss or whatever. She's right, though. Those people fucking suck. And, like, yeah, they probably disrespect Donna because Donna told them to, like, do some fucking asshole stretch that she
Well,
saw on Facebook.
actually,
but she's right. They suck as people. And they're not fucking. They've never had sex. They're all the virgin from the meme. Everyone in Brooklyn wore transition lenses, but by Warby Parker. Donna's a fucking Chad. Respect Donna.
Actually, she does have an argument with Robbie Mook, where Robbie Mook,
The
she's
ultimate virgin.
Yeah, the ultimate version, and where Robbie basically says they don't need to do X because they've already figured out that they have the exact percentage that they need to win. And then Donna makes the point, the sort of old school political point. Well, why not just like go the extra mile so you can go to bed really knowing that you have the margin? And Mook's like, that is actually inefficient.
This is one thing I actually do believe about her. I think she has like better traditional political instincts.
Oh yeah.
But she's totally insane.
But of course, that has to be graded on a curve because the Democratic leadership campaign strategists have been just colossal idiots for generations now. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say she's some kind of bastion of democracy within the Democratic Party. At one point, she talks about holding some kind of a press conference for upset voters in Florida. And then she's like, I wanted to make sure they felt they were being heard. And then she's like, but then they showed up and they started talking, and it was really upsetting. And I went to the liquor store and bought $400 worth of liquor. And then the hotel tried to shut us down for serving liquor without a license. And it's like, Donna, what are you doing?
She ran Al Gore's campaign.
Yes,
is that
she
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, again, so this is like the steady hand that you call that when you absolutely need to lose by a weird margin and you
That's-
somehow also win. Like somebody that knows.
Holy shit. We know why Al Gore did softcore penetration with his wife on stage now. That was so a Donna thing.
That's
Donna
totally Donna.
literally must have
The
told
kids
him
need to be fucking.
Yeah.
Is the candidate fucking? Is he fucking on television? Is he fucking on television on every channel on the networks and also PBS?
So, Al, can you wear a poet shirt? It's stripped open.
So back to this conference call. So she goes, of course, Brendan agreed with the men in Brooklyn. He looked at me sternly as if I was annoying to him that I would try to take back control of the party as any chair would. Dolores was becoming furious. Sorry.
Back.
Slight digression. We need to explain who Dolores is. Amber?
Okay, so, well...
Is her last name like Hamburger Helper?
Never mind. Leave it in. Okay. I asked nicely about hiring Tom, this person who she'd worked with before. She apparently tried to hire staff that just wasn't appropriate, and she did, I think, try to cut the fat on the consultants a lot, but she had her own dumb ideas. So she's trying to hire this guy. But that nice try had been ignored. I had gone around Robbie to get allies in pleading my case that hiring Tom was not just important to me, it was vital to Hillary's victory. A week into my job, I was beyond frustrated, and my thoughts returned again and again to the idea that if I was going to get action, I needed to be so direct that no one would ever forget what I was asking. That's a part of my personality that I don't like anyone to see. A part of me that is my daddy's girl. I call her Dolores, and she does not like it when she thinks people are not being straight with her. I don't want anyone to see Dolores, but I could feel her rising up inside of me as Brooklyn continued to waffle about Tom. First of all,
That's my favorite anime, Dolores Rising.
Okay, first of all, Donna has a motherfucking share zone personality. She's very much I like to say swears, and I sometimes have whiskey, and also I have an alternate personality that I've named, but I don't spell consistency because sometimes it's Dolores with an E, and sometimes it's Dolores with an O.
That's true. She does spell her alter ego's name differently at various points in this book.
But
she's probably never written it down before.
I was really interested in finding out which Democratic Party hack this was. I had no idea that it was
It's Donna.
That it was the dark half version of Donna Brazile. It's periodically shows up, speaks with a southern accent, and is prone to violence.
It's the Donna written by Richard Bachman.
Donna, is Dolores here right now? Can we speak to Dolores?
Hacks 2, now featuring new unlockable character, Mecha Donna.
Donna isn't here right now, Mr. Dolores.
Donna has reached Super Saiyan 3!
I mean,
There is no Donna, there's only Dolores.
Kai can unlock Dolores. She can only become Dolores when she sees the baby.
The payoff to
I've
this
watched
story
a lot of anime. I know how this
isn't
works.
going to be as funny as all of these digressions, but Donna says, Dolores is coming out, and Donna says, this does not feel like a negotiation to me. This feels like power and control. Gentlemen, let's just put our dicks out on the table and see who's got the bigger one, because I know mine is bigger than yours. So
that's just literally sexually harassing your staff.
Okay.
Robbie Mook consulted a data table and was like, "What are the odds that my dick is bigger than Donna's? It's looking good for me." And he's literally pulling it out. She's like, "No, the fucking baby who lives in me is doing a speech."
All right, guys, save up. Okay, this is now we're getting into the absolute gold in this book. Felix is so excited.
I know.
Listeners,
Yes.
There is a whole chapter in this book about Hillary Clinton's fainting on 9/11.
Behind
There's
the
a chapter
laughter.
called The Russians, the Russians, the Russians, but then a whole chapter...
The name of this chapter is called The Collapse.
Oh my God! As Phil Collins said, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. Holy shit! I've trained for this moment.
Okay, this is really worth reading in depth. So I'm just going to begin chapter 11, The Collapse. And again, not talking about the election, talking about Hillary Clinton's actual falling down on 9/11. Okay. Summer was over and Hillary looked tired. I saw her...
Again, total bitch move. Just, you look tired.
Summer was over and Hillary looked tired. I saw her sitting in an armchair at the reception before she spoke at Cipriani Wall Street restaurant in New York on the night of Friday, September 9th. We were there for the DNC's annual LGBT Leadership Council dinner. I immediately noticed her face was puffy and her skin looked pale and papery. Her eyes were glazed, and she was looking off into the distance. She wasn't chatting with anyone, and she didn't seem much like the vibrant Hillary I'd seen when we were fundraising in Provincetown and Martha's Vineyard a few weeks earlier. I pulled her aside her top aide, Huma Abedin, to suggest that they needed to be taking better care of our nominee. I knew how hard Hillary had worked during the week she spent at Martha's Vineyard. There was no way that kind of schedule wouldn't run down a person, and Hillary was in her late 60s. Yet the people around her didn't seem to notice the toll it was taking on her.
By the way, Donna has barely any contact with Hillary Clinton during this entire campaign, and you know she was just like going up to Huma and being like, you need to put her under the sun lamp for 8 hours a day. She's like an iguana.
I found this pussy washing crystal on Facebook, and Huma's like, this should be sexually inappropriate behavior, but for some reason that just never rings a bell with me.
I just like the image of her in a chair just looking glazed, like off that lean, just like completely melting into the chair, like just super slow-mo.
Purple. I may not be Grimace, but I'm sipping on purple. Grip and sip.
So he goes, I was not the only one concerned about Hillary's health. Just a few days before, I'd gotten an unsolicited email from a doctor who believed that Hillary seemed run down. The doctor wanted me to pass along a message to Hillary that fame and glory were fleeting, but the body is your foundation and requires you to take care of it. She warned
An unsolicited email
From Dr. Bronner himself.
She warned that if Hillary didn't get some rest, she might be looking at worse health problems. I thanked the doctor for her concern, but I had not detected any evidence of Hillary's exhaustion myself until I saw her backstage. As I walked over to her, she grabbed the arms of the chair and brought herself standing, but she was wobbly on her feet, steadying herself by placing her hands on a table. She laughed at herself. However, it was not the usual big hearty laugh that came from deep down in her diaphragm, but
Yes, Hillary Clinton, known for her hearty laugh.
Ha 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 ha! That man with a bowl cut sure couldn't move that piano. I love the triplicate of Stooges.
It wasn't one of Hillary's normal laughs, which sounded like
Stavros.
It sounded like the one that came out of the body of Jack Nicholson's Joker at the end of the Tim Burton Batman. But she goes, he said it wasn't her normal laugh, but a top of the throat laugh that turned into a rattled cough. How is everything going, Donna? She asked. It's going well, I said. I peeked out of the crowd in the ballroom. They all seem really excited to see you. Good, she said. And then she started to cough again. Oh my God. He goes, Hillary was gracious in response. She thanked me for my concern and said that I should give the name of the acupuncturist to Huma. So, she goes, okay, so and then she talks about how this was the event where Hillary made the gaffe of talking about deplorables, the basket full of deplorables.
Oh, yes.
So someone didn't stick that shot of adrenaline in her heart before she went out there, and she made as Minion wrote me in an email, this woman could not seem to catch a break.
As Minion told me on Facebook.
So I look it up. Minion is like a real woman who works at the Democratic Party, but there's got to be like 100% odds Donna just like saw a Minion became a person, right? Like
she has everything that you're like the Russia stuff and the security cameras. It seems like a very like that Facebook brain thing that happens where you believe literally everything that you see in your feed. But the idea that she's just like Minion is so loyal.
Yeah, is there a cutout in the middle of the book where it offers you like 70% off Ray-Bans?
So he goes, I was home on Sunday, September 11th, and aware that Hillary was scheduled to attend a morning memorial service at Ground Zero. It was a lazy morning with good weather, and I was hoping that Hillary was getting some rep after the service.
Dude.
Shots
fired.
Shots at Peter Dow.
Oh my God, Donna
She's
versus
a killer. Stone
Donna
cold
versus Dow?
killer.
Oh, dude, Peter versus Donna outdoor summer hoop.
That's what I'm saying. One first to 11. Make it, take it.
And one mixtape.
It's really like Robbie Mook run around the sidelines like, oh baby, every time one of them crosses somebody over.
Robbie Mook just getting stomped out by what's the goofy Philadelphia mascot that they had?
The Philly Fanatic.
Yeah.
So she goes on. Just a bit before 10 a.m., I got an email from Jake Tapper's Sunday show producer wanting to know what I had heard about Hillary's health. Hillary had left the memorial service after only an hour, well before it was scheduled to conclude. The email said she fainted and was helped into a van leaving. Next, John King called and said the network had video of this. I knew how much this could damage Hillary. In August, Trump had returned again and again to the idea that Hillary lacks the physical and mental stamina to take on ISIS. It was not as if... So she goes... He goes, when the video aired, it was heartbreaking to watch. The camera angle was from behind, so I could not see her face. Her trip director, Connolly Keir.
What? Oh, come on.
Connolly Keir?
That's a pub that Donna was in that day.
These are all like they started out as like sort of whimsical Richard Scarry names.
Marcia Fudge.
Marcia Fudge is delightful.
So he goes,
but now they're like Tom Clancy names.
Was right at her side, her arm linked in Hillary's. When the door to her van opened, Hillary did not step forward to enter. She wobbled and fell backward a bit. One of her legs gave way. I gasped, thinking that it had not been for Connolly's arm linked with hers, she might have hit the sidewalk. Several people rushed to her side to keep her upright, but they couldn't. I saw her foot come out of her shoe. She fell forward into the van as people scrambled to keep her upright enough to continue the story that she was just fine. Just a little stumble on the curb. Despite the efforts of the staff, it looked as if Hillary had fainted. This is brutal. This is really bad. But she goes, when the CNN tape aired, the reporter said Hillary had left the event early because she was overheated. What? Who thought that up? They made her sound menopausal, which was unlikely in a woman at the age of 67. I emailed Brooklyn to express my opinion about what a stupid explanation that was. For a campaign that had a reputation for being closed off and sometimes less than truthful, this was a huge blunder. When reporters started calling to try to find out what was wrong after she left the memorial, the campaign had not returned their calls for an hour. When they did, they offered up this overheated nonsense that sounded like a lie. I was calling Minion and Charlie trying to figure out what I should say, jumping. The fact that the press could get a straight explanation out of Hillary and her staff meant that they turned to the next person on their list, me. I emailed advice to the campaign. The media is going to run with the health narrative, so do not sit idly by. She goes on, the next time we saw Hillary on television was that afternoon when cameras filmed her exiting her daughter Chelsea's apartment in Manhattan's Flatiron District. She was smiling and waving to the crowd of press that had gathered out in the street, her eyes hidden by dark glasses. She didn't look bad, but she was not giving them an answer about what had happened on the curbside at the memorial. She said some nonsense about how she was fine and it was a beautiful day in New York. Then she stopped to take a selfie with a little girl. Again, who had decided this was the best approach? So this is where she gets on to talk about, in all this breakdown in messages, there's all these rumors going on. This is where she talks about she honestly started thinking about replacing Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine on the ticket. And a lot of Hillary people went apeshit over this because they thought like she was like plotting a coup or whatever. And she goes, my thoughts turned personal. Replacing the candidate was a bold move, but it was one that Hillary would never forgive me for. How could I do that to her? She had been my friend for decades. And then she starts talking about how she starts getting all of these phone calls where like the highest levels of the Democratic Party were scrambling to meet because they literally thought Hillary Clinton was going to die. They'd have to replace her. I swear to God, this is in the book. And she starts getting phone calls from Martin O'Malley, who literally picks up the phone to just be like, "Hi, Donna, it's Martin. I'm just ran 5K. God, I'm feeling good."
That's my Tommy Carcetti right there, baby.
Yeah.
That's my mayor.
Fucking worm.
Yeah.
Fucking worm, Martin.
I just love her bullshit, though. Like, this is the most passive-aggressive woman. Like, the whole, like, how could I possibly do that? We are so close. I just want to use one more example of her bitchiness. we put on I Am Kate, Caitlyn Jenner's reality television show, and laughed until our side hurts. We had to put it on pause to recover when Jenner got all these other trans people together and decided that the best thing they could do after they got all their nails done was to go out and ride dirt bikes. What woman wants to ride bikes after she gets her nails done?
Is the we there? That's her and Dolores are the two people that were watching that show.
It's just like there's one paragraph about how, by the way, Caitlyn Jenner is not a woman.
All right, this is the last anecdote that I'm going to call the duck anecdote, and this
so
one
good.
really does sum up the Hillary Clinton campaign. This is amazing. It begins like this. Evidently, someone in a Donald Duck costume kept showing up at Donald Trump's campaign rallies, calling him out for ducking the release of his taxes. With all the noise and confusion and flat-out fear of this campaign, the duck did not surface to the level of my other concerns until one of my bosses at ABC emailed me. The message was titled, "I hate to bother you on your time off," and it read, "But Richard Bates of the Walt Disney Company is trying to reach you about the DNCs using Donald Duck. He is desperate." Then the phone rang. It was Robin Spruill, the DC bureau chief from ABC News. "Donna, you have got to stop using the duck," she said. "What do you mean?" "Well, the Clinton campaign and the DNC are using Donald Duck at these Trump events," Robin said. "No, we're not. I didn't approve that," I said. I looked online to see what she was referring to, and suddenly I was seeing the duck everywhere, in Los Angeles, in Charlotte, North Carolina, and even one going down the escalator in Trump Tower.
Holding hands with a minion?
Just as the other Donald had to announce his candidacy, this duck got around, and press reports said that Donald Duck was from the DNC, intending to follow Trump wherever he appeared to heckle him for not releasing his taxes. Again, she says, "I sat on the porch at Glenn's looking out toward Katama Bay." Again, she's always getting these bad news at her, like these really amazing beach houses she seems to be at all
I
the
was
time.
snorting Lambrusco in Miami.
So she goes, she calls this Glenn Hutchins. So she goes, "A duck?" I said to Glenn. "How the hell did a duck get past me?" So I called Patrice at the office. She said she would have someone from the press office call me because they had been coordinating it. "You mean we have a duck?" I asked. "We have a duck? Why do we have a duck?" I hate the duck. When I was a kid, people used to call me Daffy because my name was Donna. I didn't want no damn duck, and now Richard Bates, the ABC Vice President of Government Affairs, is calling me. I called the DC office again. "Kill the damn duck," I said. "Kill the fucking duck, goddammit. Why are you worrying about the duck? I hate the duck." The idea that
She couldn't scream childhood trauma.
yeah. So she goes, the idea that the campaign, and as far as I knew, not the DNC, was paying someone to follow Donald Trump around in a duck costume struck me as the opposite of what we should be doing to keep the focus on Hillary's strengths as a candidate. So then he goes back to this Brandon guy. Brandon said this was no problem. The campaign and DNC lawyers had signed off on it. And besides, we had not heard anything from Disney. The reason I was emailing was because I had heard from Disney. So they're violating copyright with the Donald Duck stunt.
Yeah, literally the most litigious company in the world.
So she goes, "I'm slow to anger, very slow. But once I am angry, get out of Dolores's way." I called Mark Elias, the lawyer for the Hillary campaign, and told him that I had heard from ABC and Disney about the duck and he had to kill it. The duck is the intellectual property of Disney. They could sue us, okay? Do you want that story out there? Hillary's about to go to California to raise money, and she's going to see Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, who's holding the fundraiser, and this is coming from him. What do you want to do? Have him cancel the fundraiser? I know you all want that money, so get rid of the fucking duck. "Donna, this was Hillary's decision to use the duck," he said.
Oh, man.
He explained a close friend had suggested it to Hillary, and she thought it was a great idea. Apparently, someone wanted to use Uncle Sam, but Hillary's friend vetoed that, saying a duck was a lot funnier.
Okay, who was Hillary's friend? We have to. Okay, so was the friend Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, King Salman, or like who? Who was Hillary's friend?
I want to know. It had to have just been actually Hillary because she just has such terrible judgment.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a total Hillary move.
That's a Hillary move. What if we
she's
use Donald Duck?
She's offloading onto somebody else the responsibility, but it was clearly her idea. Well, we don't have to wonder, and I actually found this out independently, who is in the duck costume, Lena Dunham. Little known fact.
No.
No, that's a joke. Obviously.
You never know, though. You never know.
You guys actually thought Leonard Dunham
Yes.
was in the
Yes.
Duck?
Yes.
I think she would have. Had she been asked,
If they
she
had
would
asked
have
her,
done
yeah,
it.
she would have do it.
But only if she could actually Donald Duck it and be naked from the waist
I
below.
was gonna say, I think we would not. It wouldn't have been kept secret. But the idea of like, yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, like everything that you just described. If that is true, like, sure, fuck
Then
it. Yeah,
why
let
not?
it Dunham.
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, and she's wearing a bomb vest. Whatever. I don't know. Like, just add whatever you want to the story. It can't be weirder.
Yeah, that's
It was-
Hillary's judgment right there.
It was Hillary's idea.
Amazing.
It was Hillary Dexter lawnmowers idea. she took it to the next level.
What a fucking.
Chester
Anyway, this
Moog
is the greatest
synthesizer,
political memoir
Epstein.
ever written.
Yeah, this is like up there with Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail 72 in terms of like a book that if
It's
you really want to
amazing.
read to like understand our political zeitgeist and like our culture that we live in and why everything is so weird and fucked up. Read a book written by an actual crazy person
Yeah.
about politics. She's like Hunter S. Thompson in that regard.
Donna Brazile has she's in the best mindset right now too for this book because she's only recently left the cult and she still loves the fearless leader. She just thinks things have gotten a little out of hand.
However, some of the people still in the cult are really so mad at Donna
So mad.
that they're writing open letters on Medium to her. And it's like has 30
These aren't
signatories,
randos either.
including Huma.
Yeah, Huma signed it. Palmieri signed it. Palmieri, who she called a bitch in this book, by the way.
I just want to read the first paragraph from this Medium post. I love that it is they've devolved into Medium posts. This is Jesse Ferguson's Medium post.
Jesse
It's-
Farrar.
Yeah, Jesse Farrar's Medium post. It says, "Open letter from Hillary for America 2016 team. We were shocked to learn the news that Donna Brazile actively considered overturning the will of the Democratic voters by attempting to replace Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine as the Democratic presidential and vice presidential nominees."
By the way, has anyone thought of Tim Kaine since
Nope.
2016?
Yeah. I'm.
Real inspired choice there.
Excuse me, I read every day. I read one page from Tim Kaine is Your Cool Stepdad. Remember that book?
Yeah.
Does anyone remember that?
No.
David, you don't remember this?
I feel like I should. Is
Some content gargoyle.
Yeah, I'm not-
after
is it
he was
Sarah
declared
Benincasa?
the candidate,
there was? It's ringing some bells,
Yeah.
but also like
they
none
put
of
out
this.
a quickie ebook called Tim Kaine is Your Cool Stepdad or something like that. It was maybe not cool, but like Tim Kaine is your stepdad. And it was like 20 pages of Tim Kaine barbecues and asked you how your day was and things like that. Picks you up from your soccer match.
Okay.
This is all. I don't,
So I still read that, so I don't know what you guys are talking
I feel like
about.
I'm
I mean,
embarrassed by
I
it
think
for the
my
first time.
stepdad
but I'm sure
was
I'm not.
anti-abortion, so it does work.
Mi amo, Tim Kaine. I just want to say, like,
No, I need to
this is the difference between Donna's strong spirit and their weak spirit. Donna doesn't have to look at another person and invent some fictional role they have in their life. Like, she doesn't have to look at an existing guy and go, please be my father. Like these.
No, she
people do.
creates new people
Yeah.
within herself.
Yes, she's doing she's reproducing. Like, just what's the term when like a amoeba creates two amoebas?
She's
What?
Like self-reproduction.
Yeah, I was just reproducing asexually.
Parthenogenic reproduction.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, there we go.
Good job. private
Oh,
school.
damn.
You should read the top highlight. For
No,
this
no, no.
medium letter.
I need to read the top highlight because this is the.
Sorry,
it
sorry.
just so because it is particularly troubling and puzzling that she would seemingly buy into false Russian-fueled propaganda spread by both the Russians and our opponent about our candidate's health.
What fucking
Everyone saw it, you asshole! You fucking asshole! Everyone saw it.
Is the idea now that there was a Russian guy in a fucking hedge with a blowgun who shot her with a poison dart?
Also, I really resent the insinuation that Donna is insufficiently vigilant against the Russians. She hates the Russians.
Yeah, Donna's gonna fucking catch them when this. The only way Mueller is gonna get an indictment on anyone above Carter Page is if he recruits Donna.
So yeah, that was Donna Brazile's book.
You guys-
honestly,
Amazing.
it was worth buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Donna
it's
Brazile
great.
fucking rules.
She rocks.
I'll tell you how much she rules.
She owns.
I'll tell you how much she rules. She made a new friend today.
Oh, I
What?
was wondering
That
if you were
wasn't
going to
today.
say
That wasn't
What?
today. That's an old photo.
What?
But he tweeted about
He
it.
tweeted
today.
about it today.
Tweeted it today, but she took another picture today where she's wearing something different.
Just
I don't care. He posted it today.
Who?
Shut
Who?
up.
It's
You're ruining everything. So this is the tweet.
What?
In New York City, I ran into Donna Brazile and talked about her book. See, it has to be new because she's got on the book
He's
tour.
a liar. He's a liar.
In New York City, ran into Donna Brazile and talked about her book. Even though our political views are polar opposite, we had a great conversation. Complimented her on her courage to out the DNC and hashtag Crooked Hillary. Say what you want. More Dems should tell the truth. Sheriff David A. Clark.
I was going to say Roger Stone.
Yeah, that's
but
the Roger
yeah.
Stone move, but he's banned from Twitter.
Okay, yeah.
I think
Wow.
Roger Stone, that was an unfair
Sheriff
banning.
David Clark.
I'm gonna say that
So I
right
think
now.
this is her next step. She will end up on the alt-right, and that's going to rule.
Oh my God,
Dolores
I
is
can't
going to
wait.
understand about skull
can't wait.
shapes. Yeah.
I mean, they're bitchy too. Like
Yeah.
the tea is very hot.
Yeah,
on the
Richard
alt-right.
Spencer is like the biggest gossip queen.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. But we can do for Donna what we've done for like many young teens, where we see them going towards the alt right, and we
We need to give Donna irony.
need guys. You guys want to go? Donna's in New
She's
York.
already got the display name game down with Marsha Fudge and Minion Moore and whatnot.
Dude, she could be in my irony. Donna on our show. Donna going on episode 1. Donna on Cometown. Let's put
Donna Brazile, go on Cometown.
She would go on Cometown. She would have a great time. She would kill it on episode 1. She could be Debbie Washing Machine Schultz on episode 1. She could do art. She can do a reading series. She can do What Happened with Us.
That would roll.
We need to say
Donna, come on, Chapo. I'm
Donna-
gonna say it.
Donna,
Nobody
we-
else say it to her. I'm saying it to
Yeah,
you now.
no
Don't
one
do
say
that
that.
fucking joke.
Stop doing it. It
Stop
sucks.
doing it. It's lame. But
We love
unless
Donna.
I do it,
Donna fucking
protect
rocks.
Donna. Protect Donna.
Protect Donna.
Okay.
She has she's at a crossroads. We can bring her to the light.
Yeah, if not even, it's not even. We're not even doing a cynical political thing where we want some political achievement.
No, we
None of
just
that.
like her.
We just think she's cool. She's cool. She spent thousands of dollars on delegates and Johnny Walker Black copped.
That's the perfect way to wrap up a podcast. Every time,
few episodes
every
have ended
time,
with Eric Paddock.
Yeah, every time, just wrap it up with Eric Paddock. All right, guys.
No, but don't reply to people with Go on Chapo anymore. Just say sushi comped. Anyone you want to like bother, don't fight our battles for us. But if you really want to bother somebody, say sushi comped. That's my advice to the fans. Don't say anything.
There we
else.
go. I'd like to thank David Roth for sitting in this week.
Thank you for having me.
Please come back
Our pleasure,
sometime
yeah.
soon.
I would
I can't
be
believe it took
delighted.
us this long to get you on.
I know.
on
I'm
the
happy
pod,
to do it.
dude.
I was like surprised that it wasn't like I'm happy not to have talked about football at all for the entire time I was here. But yeah, it's good not to do a sports thing. Thank you for having me.
Can you come back on this weekend and talk about how the dang NFL players need to stand up for our
I
anthem?
would
Yeah.
love to, do the most upsetting reading series in the history with that fucking political piece.
Oh, man, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where the guy at the end says he likes NWA's second album better. That's
You know, with the titles backwards,
there we
actually.
go. A little reference
Yeah.
there for you guys. Anyway, till next time, guys.
Sayonara.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.